Hello and welcome back to goldstocktrades.com. Today we have a new and special guest with us, Jeremy Poirier. Jeremy is CEO of Bearing Resources. Bearing can be traded as BRZ on the TSX Venture and as BRGRF on the OTC. Thanks, Jeremy, for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Jeremy, I know it's been a busy time for you guys. You just signed a definitive agreement with Li3 on a very special project in Chile. That's for a lithium brine project. Talk to us about the interest in Chile and the uniqueness of this project that you just signed this definitive agreement with Li3.
Sure. Interestingly enough, we've seen a number of different deals get done in the lithium space. It's been a popular sector for investment recently. You look at the deals that have been done in Argentina. There's been a number of them done in Nevada. There's been some other hard rock ones in different parts of the world. This particular project is probably the second most advanced brine project in the world, behind LAC, who recently received their construction financing actually last week, and they have about a $400 million market cap. This one's had $25 to $30 million worth of work done to it. It had $18 million invested into it by POSCO, which is a $70 billion a year steel company out of South Korea. It has delivered a measured indicated resource, so be above the inferred resource of 600,000 tons. They also have an inferred resource of 60,000 tons. Measured indicated resource is something that can be used for your definitive feasibility. So, from our standpoint, we're excited that the project that we're taking on is advanced. It's been de-risked, and the grades are 2 to 3 times higher than anything in Argentina. So we think we have a world-class project here. If you compare it to the other lithium deals that have been done, it's certainly more advanced.
So talk to us about this interest in Chile. I know there's been a lot of interest in Argentina, but there's very few companies that have been able to sort of break into Chile. Talk to us about how you were able to accomplish that.
Well, I guess the first thing that should be noted is that the majority of the lithium production does come from Chile. It's 40%. There's no country in the world that exports more lithium than Chile. The majority of that comes from the Atacama, which was where SQM and Albemarle currently produce. The highest grade projects are also in Chile. The Atacama is the highest in the world. It's 18 to 1900 parts per million. This particular project is again, it's an average grade of the current resource is 1,250 parts per million. That's 2 to 4 times higher than what we're seeing on Argentinian projects. So, although there's not a ton of people doing things in Chile right now, it's always been a very popular place for lithium. This particular project was orphaned in an OTC company called Li3 Energy. They were trading it at 2 cents. It's been relatively unknown. They weren't able to attract a lot of investment capital due to their share structure, share price, and the exchange that they traded on. So we were able to. I first met their CEO 2 years ago when I was with Pure Energy, when I was on the board, and so one of the co-founders of that company. They approached us in doing some sort of a merger. Then Pure Energy then had a discovery in Nevada. The share price rocketed, and the valuation didn't make sense. I then introduced them to another group, which failed to get an agreement done with them, Wealth Minerals, that has since gone to Chile and picked up some exploration assets without any drill results. I then approached Lucho after I became president and CEO of Bearing Resources. We financed $1.6 million oversubscribed financing, plus what we had in the bank, which was about $500,000. I approached him and asked if he was still interested in doing some sort of a deal. He said yes. Quickly came together, a non-binding letter of intent, we soon move that to a binding letter of intent, and then today we announced that we've gone definitive. So it's an exciting time for our company, and I know for their shareholders as well.
And I know that the grades from this project is very high grade versus some of these other projects that have much higher valuations. Can you talk to us about this high grade and sort of what
Sure.
what sort of stage this project's at?
Well, currently, as I said, there's currently a measured and indicated resource. Right now, they're executing on a exploration, or I guess a defining and de-risking program. The height of it will have 49 people on site. They're drilling 18 wells, 2 of which are pumping wells. They have ponds filled with the brine from the project. They have a weather station, and ultimately that will lead to a updated 43-101 report in April or May of this year. And it's expected to substantially increase the resource. I can't say by how much at this point in time, but we know that it looks as though that the resource will be increasing. We've seen some of the drill results as high as 2,000 parts per million, some of them averaging 1,500 parts per million. We've seen world-class flow rates as high as 35 liters per second, probably an average of about 25 liters per second. So it's a world-class lithium project with the resource expecting to increase. And as you touched on, with a very high-grade deposit as well.
So, Jeremy, talk to us a little bit about the path forward and the structure of the company. And I know that you recently announced some additions to the board.
I think with all the hype around lithium, there's been a number of different management teams that have entered the space. Some of those management teams, they don't necessarily have a lithium background. They may have a mining background, but not necessarily a lithium background. Now, what's interesting about that is lithium is quite complex. It's more of chemistry rather than mining. A lot of people don't know that. So the ability to find people that have experience in lithium is very important. It's a space that's only a $2 billion market. It's a space that the last mine that was put into production before Orocobre, that is, was in the 90s. So there's a bit of a generational gap. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because our team is a lithium team. We've brought over the CEO of Li3 Energies, currently our president of South American operations. We've brought over their chairman to our board. He's been chairman of Li3 since 2010. The technical team was inherited from Li3 Energy. Don Haynes, for example, our QP, he wrote the rules on Brine 43-101 for the TSX venture. Fritz Rydell, who's a geohydrologist, is a qualified QP, and he's leading the program on site, and he led the previous program for the initial 43-101. So if you were to take a look at our management team compared to some of the other ones out there, you could definitely say that it's a lithium team. And it has expertise in the space, and that can be very difficult to find sometimes.
Yeah, and what's so unique when I looked through about the company was that there's a very tight share structure. Can you talk to us about the capitalization? And also, I noticed that you have some shares of companies in as well as cash.
Sure. So I mentioned the one financing we did. We also did another oversubscribed financing at 40 cents. So currently we sit with just over 2.6 million Canadian in the bank. We have $3 million worth of warrants at 25 cents, and we're currently trading near $1. So with a new 43-101 scheduled to come out in the first half of this year. So we're well capitalized at this point in time. We have excellent shareholders that supported me in Pure Energy and now supporting me in Bearing, and that we've worked with for a long time. And in regards to some of the other deals we've done, Bearing was originally a base metals company. They had projects in Mexico, in the Yukon, and several other countries. We recently sold the majority of our assets to a company called Commander for 12 million shares. The value of those shares is about 600,000 Canadian. We also recently did a deal with Golden Predator, who has a big discovery in the Yukon, their Three Aces discovery on our High J property. And so what that's done for us is given us a gold hedge, which we feel, going into some of these uncertain times, we think that's important. We did a cash and share deal with them. They're going to explore the property this upcoming spring and continue to owe us additional payments, cash and shares. And with them expanding on their current discovery, along with our property, we feel as though that their value should increase. So we're well capitalized with a very tight share structure, only 21.5 million shares out, and with the securities in other companies, we're not going to have to go back to market and dilute our shareholders unless it's something accretive.
So to find out more information, you can go to Bearing Resources.ca. Jeremy Poirier, President and CEO of Bearing Resources, which can be traded as BRZ on the venture and as BRGRF on the OTC. Thanks for being here with us for today. And is there anything else that you might want to conclude with or summarize, Jeremy?
Yeah, I think lithium will continue to be strong. I guess one of the things I would stress is that right now we're seeing a lot of data on $20,000 lithium prices or even $30,000. Ultimately, at some point, you'll probably go back to a $10,000 to $12,000 to $14,000 lithium price. I don't know when that is, if that's 3 or 5 years away, or if that's a year and a half away. But ultimately, the high grade projects and the brine projects, which are the lowest cost producers in the world, will be the ones that are able to succeed moving forward on a consistent basis. So we think the fact that we have a high grade project with a resource that's the only advanced pre-production project in Chile makes us stand out from the rest. Furthermore, we have a free carry on the project, Jeb, and I talked about not having to dilute our shareholders, so we have a free carry all the way to definitive feasibility. So this $22 million exploration program and the current phase, which is about $8 million US, are fully funded. So I think those are a couple of important things to note.
Those are pretty important to note. Some great points to note at the end there. Thanks, Jeremy Poirier, President and CEO of Bearing Resources. You can find out more information at bearingresources.ca. It's traded as BRZ on the TSX Venture and as BRGRF on the OTC.
Thanks for your time, Jeff. Take care.